All right, strap yourselves in because we're diving deep into the Kira network today.
You asked for it. We got a whole heap of Kira docs and resources.
We're talking verifiable cloud computing. Sounds pretty futuristic to me.
RollApps.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do have kind of a sci-fi ring to them, don't they?
And a financial system that's making waves in the crypto world.
Kira is really looking to bridge that Web 2, Web 3 gap, all that power and ease of use.
But this time, we're ditching big tech, right? That's the whole point.
Decentralization all the way.
I like where this is going.
We're talking about applications that can actually compete with what we see in the centralized world.
So not just like baby steps, they're going all in.
Oh yeah, full cannonball into the deep end on this one.
What's the secret weapon? What makes it tick?
Well, one of the big things is multi-bonded proof of stake, or MBPoS.
MBPoS. Okay, I know proof of stake, stake the token, secure the network, all that.
Right, but MBPoS takes it way further.
How much further are we talking?
It's guessing pretty much anything. NFTs, real-world assets, even stuff from other blockchains.
Wait, so I could stake my Bored Ape to help secure the Kira network?
You got it.
And maybe throw in some Bitcoin while I'm at it?
That's the idea.
My mind is kind of blown right now.
It's a pretty radical concept.
But how does that even work? All these different assets all jumbled together. It just seems so complex.
Trier has a system that they've made it so all these assets can work together.
Okay, but what about their native token? Correct, right. Does it even matter if I can stake anything?
Oh, KI is still crucial. It gets a guaranteed minimum allocation of block and fee rewards.
So they're not just letting Kira fade into the background?
Nope. They're ensuring it stays relevant, and the community gets to decide how that evolves through governance.
So they're building this whole interconnected ecosystem. My assets aren't just sitting there, they're actively doing something.
Exactly, participating in the network.
But let's be real for a second. Staking any asset, there's got to be some risks, right?
Yeah.
Volatility, scams.
That's a valid concern.
How does Kira address that?
First, they have a super strict vetting process for any asset they allow for staking.
So background checks for my Bored Ape.
Something like that. Security audits, community reviews, the whole 9 yards.
And to make sure it's not just the whales calling the shots.
They use a round-robin block production mechanism.
Which means?
Every validator gets a fair shot at producing blocks, no matter how much they've staked.
Okay, so it's a level playing field. I like that.
Fairness is built into the system.
We've talked about securing the network, but what about using it? Those RollApps.
Yeah.
They still kind of mystify me.
Think of them as like mini apps, all self-contained and verifiable.
Mini apps running on Kira.
Right. But what makes them really special is their flexibility.
Flexible in what way?
Developers can use pretty much any programming language.
No more being stuck with just a few options.
Exactly. And they even get to define their own rules for how transactions are verified.
Whoa, that's a lot of freedom.
Yeah, it opens up a ton of possibilities that other blockchains just can't handle.
So more freedom for developers, more innovation, more possibilities. Sounds great.
That's the goal.
But with all that freedom, doesn't it make it easier for bad actors to sneak in? I mean, security has to be a concern.
Oh, absolutely. And Kira has a solution for that, the Virtual Finality Gadget.
Virtual Finality Gadget. Okay. That sounds intense.
VFG for short.
VFG. All right. So what is it? Some kind of security system?
It lets anyone become a fisherman.
A fisherman, like with a rod and reel?
Well, not exactly. These fishermen, they're like watchdogs for RollApps.
So if a RollApp starts acting fishy,
the fishermen are there to catch it.
I get it. But how effective can that be? Can't someone just outsmart the fisherman?
Each fisherman defines their own rules for verifying transactions, and they keep those rules secret.
So it's like a constantly changing security code.
Exactly. That unpredictability makes it way harder for attackers to exploit anything.
Okay, so security through obscurity smart.
It's a multi-layered approach.
But with all this talk of fishermen and gadgets and everything, it sounds pretty complex.
It is a sophisticated system, but they've also worked hard to make it user-friendly.
So regular people can use it, not just the hardcore techies.
That's the goal.
How have they made it easier?
Deploying RollApps is super simple. Yeah. Developers just package their app and submit it to Kira's registry.
No more complicated deployments.
Much more streamlined.
And for users, it's just like interacting with any other dApp.
They even have a dedicated front-end app called MIRO. Really intuitive and easy to use.
So they're making sure it's not just for the select few.
Accessibility is key for mainstream adoption.
Okay, so before we get into how everyday users can benefit, we need to understand the foundation this whole thing is built on.
Right, let's talk SEKAI and Tendermint.
SEKAI and Tendermint. Those names keep popping up.
At the core of Kira is SEKAI, their main blockchain application.
Okay, and SEKAI is built on Tendermint.
That's right. Tendermint is a consensus engine.
Consensus engine. I've heard the term, but not sure I fully grasp it.
It's basically how the network agrees on which transactions are valid.
So it's like the decision-making process for the blockchain.
You could see that.
And why is Tendermint so special?
Well, first of all, it's Byzantine fault tolerant.
Byzantine fault tolerant. Sounds serious.
It means it can handle a bunch of nodes failing or misbehaving without crashing the whole network.
So even if some things go wrong, the network keeps chugging along.
Exactly. It's super resilient.
Impressive. What else?
It's also proof of stake based and offers instant finality.
So transactions are confirmed quickly.
Super fast, no waiting around.
Okay, and Kira has actually customized Tendermint, right?
They've added their own twist, creating a system for managing their validator nodes.
Validator nodes. Those are the ones running the software, right?
Right, they're the backbone of the network.
So what's different about how Kira manages them?
Well, for starters, there's no fixed limit on the number of validators.
More the merrier.
Exactly. And it's not all about how much money you have.
So it's not just the whales getting all the power.
Nope. They want active, engaged participants.
What do you mean by engaged?
They need to be involved in the community, follow a strict code of conduct, and even prove their individuality.
Prove their individuality? How do you even do that?
They have ways of ensuring that validators are real people, not just bots or sock puppet accounts.
It's like they're building a blockchain with a conscience.
They're definitely trying to build something different, a network that's truly community-driven.
I can get behind that.
It's refreshing to see that kind of focus.
But how do they ensure these validators can actually afford to run all the hardware and stuff?
That's where their universal basic income comes in.
Wait, UBI? Like for validators?
Yep, they provide a UBI to help subsidize their costs.
So it's like a safety net for validators.
It helps ensure they can keep running their nodes and contributing to the network.
Wow, they're really pulling out all the stops, aren't they?
They're committed to building a sustainable and inclusive ecosystem.
Okay, let's circle back to this multi-bonded proof of stake thing.
MBPoS.
Yeah, I'm still trying to wrap my head around it.
What's tripping you up?
I get that you can stake all these different assets, but how does that actually work? And what are the benefits? Like you said I could stake my Bored Ape. Walk me through that.
Sure, so imagine you have your Bored Ape just sitting in your wallet.
Right, looking all cool.
But with MBPoS, you can actually put that ape to work.
What kind of work can a Bored Ape do?
It can help secure the KRI network.
My Bored Ape? A security guard?
Essentially, you're using it as collateral.
Interesting. So by staking my ape, I'm helping to make the network more secure.
Exactly. And in return, you earn rewards.
So my ape is working hard and earning rewards.
And those rewards aren't limited to just KX.
Wait, so I could earn rewards in other cryptocurrencies?
Potentially, yes. Remember how you can stake other assets like Bitcoin?
Right.
Well, you could earn rewards in those assets too.
So I could stake my Bored Ape and earn Bitcoin rewards. That's crazy.
It's one of the most exciting aspects of MBPoS. It creates these new opportunities to earn passive income.
I'm definitely intrigued.
And it's incredibly innovative in terms of liquidity.
Liquidity? Explain that one to me.
Instead of having your assets locked up in one specific ecosystem, you can leverage them across multiple platforms.
So my Bored Ape is doing double duty, securing Kira, and potentially earning me rewards in a completely different blockchain.
That's the power of MBPoS.
Okay, that's pretty mind-blowing.
It's a game changer.
But this brings up another question. If everyone's staking all these different assets, how does Kira maintain the value of its own token, KRX?
They've designed the system to ensure KRX stays relevant.
How so?
Remember those block and fee rewards we talked about? There's a minimum allocation that goes to KRX holders.
So they're guaranteeing a certain level of demand for KRX.
Exactly. And the community can adjust that allocation through governance.
So KRX isn't just some speculative token. It's deeply integrated into the network.
It's the backbone of the
So KRX is the backbone, MBPoS is the muscle. I like that analogy.
It's all about working together to create a strong and flexible network.
Kira is definitely doing things differently, that's for sure.
They're pushing the boundaries of what's possible with blockchain technology.
Okay, we've covered a lot. MBPoS, RollApps, even blockchain UBIs. It's clear that Kira is building something unique.
They have a big vision.
But what is that vision exactly? What are they ultimately trying to achieve?
They want to bridge the gap between the traditional world of Web 2 and the emerging world of Web 3.
So taking the best of both worlds.
Right. The power and scalability of Web 2 combined with the security and transparency of blockchain.
They're not trying to completely replace Web 2, they're trying to integrate it.
Exactly. It's about empowering users, giving them more control over their data and their digital lives.
And that's where hypermodularity comes in.
That's a big part of it.
I'm still not quite sure what hypermodularity means.
Think of it as bringing all the essential functionalities, data availability, security, interoperability, all into one unified stack.
So instead of having all these separate pieces scattered around, they're bringing everything together under one roof.
That's a good way to put it.
And what are the benefits of that?
Well, for one thing, it's more efficient.
Efficient in what way?
It means faster processing, lower costs, and a more robust security model.
Okay, I'm starting to see the appeal.
It also simplifies things for developers, making it easier to build and deploy applications.
So it's better for everyone involved.
That's the goal.
All right, so to really understand how hypermodularity works, we need to break down the Kira stack, right?
Right, there are four main components: SEKAI, INTERX, RYOKAI, and MIRO.
Okay, hit me with it. What do they all do?
We already talked about SEKAI. That's the core blockchain application, the foundation of the system.
Yeah, the heart of Kira.
Then there's INTERX, which is their content availability layer.
Content availability, what does that mean?
It ensures fast and reliable access to all the data on the network, both on-chain and off-chain.
So no more relying on third-party services.
They're cutting out the middleman.
Okay, that makes sense. What about RYOKAI?
RYOKAI is their DevOps solution.
DevOps, is that for developers?
It's what makes running a Kira node easy and accessible, even for people who aren't super technical.
So it's like a toolkit for node operators.
Exactly. It takes care of things like software upgrades and RollApp deployment.
Sounds helpful. What about the last one, MIRO?
MIRO is the user-facing part of Kira, their front-end application and web wallet.
So it's how regular users interact with the network.
Exactly. It's designed to be simple and intuitive.
So they're making sure the user experience is smooth and easy.
That's a key part of their strategy.
Okay, we've talked about the tech, the architecture, but we can't forget about the token, KEX.
KEX is essential. It's the fuel that makes the whole network run.
How so? What's it used for?
Everything from transaction fees to governance, staking, even those initial liquidity offerings.
ILOs, right?
Yep, KEX is at the heart of it all.
But how does the KEX economy actually work? How do people earn it, and what can they do with it?
You can earn KEX through staking. That's the most common way.
Right, validators and delegators earn rewards.
But those rewards aren't limited to KEX.
Wait, really? I thought you could only earn the native token.
Remember, MBPoS, you can potentially earn rewards in other whitelisted tokens as well.
So I could stake KingX and earn rewards in Bitcoin or Ethereum.
It's possible.
That's incredible.
It opens up a whole new world of possibilities for passive income.
I'm starting to see the appeal.
It's a game changer.
So it's not just about holding KingX, it's about using it to earn other assets.
Exactly. It's about creating a diverse and interconnected ecosystem.
And what about liquidity? A lot of DeFi protocols lock up your assets when you stake them.
Kira has a solution for that: unified liquid staking.
Unified liquid staking, so I can stake my assets and still use them.
That's the idea.
Hold on, how does that even work?
It's a bit technical, but basically you get special receipt tokens that represent your staked assets.
So I can use those receipt tokens in other DeFi protocols.
Exactly.
That's pretty cool.
It gives you a lot more flexibility.
But managing all those different receipt tokens, it sounds kind of messy.
Kira has a solution for that too: token basketing.
Token basketing, what's that?
It aggregates different types of receipt tokens into single fungible assets.
So it's like a one-stop shop for managing your staked assets.
You could say that.
That's much simpler. I like it.
They're always trying to improve the user experience.
But with all this financial engineering going on, are there any safety measures in place? What if something goes wrong?
Kira has implemented a number of governance fail-safe mechanisms.
Like what?
For example, validators can vote on which tokens are included in baskets.
So they're making sure it's not just any random token that gets in?
Only stable and reputable assets are allowed.
That makes sense. What else?
They can also halt swaps if a token starts to lose its peg.
So they're preventing people from getting wiped out if there's a sudden crash.
Exactly. They're trying to protect users.
And they have an insurance fund, right?
Right. Funded by surplus swap fees.
So there's a backup plan if things go really south.
They've thought about the risks and put in place safeguards.
It sounds like they're really trying to build a secure and sustainable ecosystem.
That's their goal. They're not just throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks.
Okay, so we've laid the groundwork for what Kira is all about.
Their innovative tech, their unique economic model, Their focus on security and user-friendliness.
They're definitely pushing the boundaries.
What's really interesting is their commitment to community.
They're not just building a technology, they're building a movement.
They're encouraging participation, they're listening to feedback, they're constantly evolving.
That's a sign of a strong team.
A team that's in it for the long haul. They're in it to win it, that's for sure.
Okay, so we've got the foundation down. Now let's zoom out for a minute. Where does Kira fit in the whole blockchain world?
That's a good question.
Are they gunning for Ethereum? Trying to be the next big thing?
I don't think that's their goal.
Or maybe they're trying to muscle in on Cosmos or Polkadot, become part of that ecosystem?
Kira's kind of doing their own thing, forging their own path.
Okay, so what is that path? What's their niche?
They're laser focused on a specific kind of application.
What kind?
Resource-intensive, verifiable applications, the kind that can really rival Web 2.
So we're talking like high-performance gaming, complex scientific simulations.
Exactly. Things that need a lot of computational power, a lot of flexibility.
Stuff that traditional blockchains just can't handle very well.
Right. Those are the kinds of applications Kira is built for.
Okay, so they've got their target audience, but they still need developers to build on their platform.
Of course, adoption is crucial.
So what's Kira's pitch to developers? Why should they choose Kira over all the other options out there?
Kira's got a few things going for it.
Like what?
Well, first of all, there's the flexibility of RollApps. Developers can use any programming language they want.
That's a big deal, right? No more being restricted to just a few options.
Right, they have a lot more freedom to build what they want, how they want.
And they can define their own security rules.
Exactly. So they're not limited by the constraints of traditional smart contracts.
So it's like Kira saying, come build whatever you want. We've got you covered.
That's the message they're trying to send.
Freedom and flexibility. I like it. But what about performance? Can Kira actually handle all these resource-intensive applications?
That's another thing they focus on, scalability and performance.
So no more network congestion, no more crazy gas fees.
They've designed their architecture to handle a much higher volume of transactions than other blockchains.
And they're using that unique consensus mechanism we talked about.
Tendermint, yeah, it's a big part of how they achieve that performance.
Okay, so they're ticking all the boxes so far. Flexibility, scalability, performance. What about security?
Security is paramount, of course.
With all this freedom and flexibility, you'd think security would be a major concern.
It is, but Kira has a solution for that. Their shared security model.
Shared security, what does that mean?
Every RollApp benefits from the underlying security of the entire network.
So they don't have to build their own security infrastructure from scratch.
Nope, it's all built in.
That saves developers a lot of time and money.
It lets them focus on what they do best, building great applications.
Okay, so we've got flexibility, scalability, performance, security. What else is important in the blockchain world these days?
Interoperability.
Right, connecting with other blockchains.
Kira's got that covered too.
Really? How so?
They have a bridge application called Tori.
Tori? What does that do?
It enables cross-chain transfers between Kira and Ethereum
So you can move your assets back and forth.
seamlessly.
That's huge, especially for DeFi.
They recognize the importance of interoperability.
And are there plans to expand beyond Ethereum?
Definitely, they want to connect with other compatible networks in the future.
So they're not trying to create a walled garden, they're building bridges.
They want to be part of a larger interconnected ecosystem.
All right, let's recap for a second. We've got a powerful, flexible platform for building resource-intensive applications, a secure and scalable architecture that can handle a ton of transactions, a strong economic model that rewards participation, and a growing ecosystem with interoperability features.
They've definitely got a lot going for them.
It's a pretty compelling package.
But the question is it all hype? Or is there real substance behind it all?
How do we know if they can actually deliver on their promises?
The technology is definitely impressive, and the team seems to know what they're doing.
But ultimately, it comes down to adoption, right?
Exactly. They need developers to build those RollApps, and they need users to actually use them.
So it's all about getting people on board.
Will developers embrace this new model of verifiable cloud computing?
Will users flock to these innovative RollApps? Those are the big questions.
I will tell.
But just imagine the possibilities.
If they can pull it off, it could be huge.
Imagine playing immersive video games, running complex scientific simulations, powering AI, all on a decentralized network, free from the control of big corporations.
It's a pretty exciting vision.
It's a vision that a lot of people in the blockchain space share.
Kira is one of the few projects that seems to be taking concrete steps to make it a reality.
It's still early days, of course, but it's definitely something to watch.
The potential is definitely there.
What kind of RollApps do you think we'll see? Is it truly a limitless canvas?
I think we're only scratching the surface of what's possible.
But there have to be some practical constraints, right?
Of course, it takes time to build a robust ecosystem.
And to attract a thriving community of developers.
It's a process.
But there are already some interesting projects emerging, aren't there?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of buzz in the gaming community.
Decentralized gaming seems to be a perfect fit for Kira.
Imagine playing a game where the world itself is governed by a decentralized network.
And players have true ownership of their in-game assets.
No more worrying about game companies shutting down servers or changing the rules.
Players have real control, real power.
It's a game changer.
And because Kira can handle so many transactions, these games could be massive.
Hundreds of thousands, even millions of players, all interacting seamlessly.
No lag, true ownership, decentralized governance. It's the future of gaming.
At least that's the hope.
What else are developers excited about?
DeFi is another big area of interest.
Decentralized finance, of course.
People are exploring how RollApps can be used to create new financial instruments and markets.
Decentralized exchanges, lending platforms, insurance products.
All running on a transparent and secure network.
It's like they're building the financial infrastructure of the future.
And because Kira allows for the staking of so many different assets, including those from other blockchains, the possibilities are endless.
It's like Kira is becoming this hub for decentralized innovation.
A place where developers can experiment and build the next generation of Web3 applications.
It's exciting, but let's not get carried away.
Right, there are still challenges.
What are the biggest hurdles Kira faces?
Well, adoption is still the key.
They need to attract more developers, more users.
And they need to stay ahead of the curve, constantly innovating and improving.
It's a fast-moving space.
The competition is fierce.
So how does Kira plan to stay ahead?
They seem to have a good balance of ambition and pragmatism.
What do you mean?
They have this grand vision for verifiable cloud computing, but they're also taking a very practical approach.
They're not just talking the talk, they're walking the walk.
And they're not afraid to experiment and iterate.
They've already made some significant changes to their technology and tokenomics based on feedback from the community.
They're listening, they're learning, they're adapting.
That's crucial in this space.
The ability to adapt is essential for survival.
Okay, we've talked a lot about the big picture, but let's get practical for a moment. If someone's hearing about Kira for the first time and wants to learn more, where should they start?
Their website is a good place to begin.
Kira.network, right?
Yep. They have a ton of information about their technology, their team, their roadmap.
Read the docs, got it. What else?
They also have a very active community on Telegram and Discord.
So those are good places to connect with other Kira enthusiasts.
Ask questions, participate in discussions.
And for developers, there's their GitHub repository.
All the technical details are there.
Okay, so website, Telegram, Discord, GitHub, got it. Any final thoughts before we wrap up?
I think the main takeaway is that Kira is more than just another blockchain project.
They're aiming to do something really special.
They're building a platform that has the potential to unlock a whole new wave of decentralized innovation.
Whether they succeed or not remains to be seen.
But it's definitely a journey worth following.
It could have a profound impact on the future of the internet.
It's a story that's still being written.
And we're all invited to be a part of it. We've dug into the tech, the vision, the potential. Kira's really pushing the limits.
Yeah, they're building something special, but there's always another layer, isn't there?
Okay, so time to get philosophical. What are the big questions Kira makes us think about?
For me, it comes down to this. Can they really bridge that gap?
Between the complexity of blockchain and what everyday people actually need.
Exactly. Can they make this tech user-friendly enough that everyone can use it?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is building. It
Okay.
is one thing, but if people can't use it, it's all just code.
It's the challenge for the whole industry. How do we make blockchain truly accessible?
It's worth figuring out, though, right? The payoff could be huge.
A world where we have more control over our data, our finances, our digital lives.
It's a future worth fighting for.
Absolutely. And Kira's focus on user experience seems like a good sign.
They're making smart moves. Think about those features we talked about.
Unified liquid staking, token basketing, they're making it easier for people.
Exactly, they get it. Mass adoption won't happen if the tech is too hard to use.
Okay, so big picture challenges, potential. Let's talk about you, the listener.
What should you take away from all this Kira talk?
What's the one thing you should remember?
Kira is more than just another blockchain project.
They're trying to change how we interact with technology, how we interact with each other.
It's about unlocking a new era of innovation, more control, more freedom, more opportunity.
It's ambitious, but they just might pull it off.
It's a story that's still being written, and we're all part of it.
Whether you're a developer, an investor, or just curious about the future, Kira's worth watching.
Keep learning, keep asking questions, keep an open mind.
The blockchain world is constantly changing, and Kira's right there on the front lines.
Pushing the limits.
Maybe you'll be the one building the next killer RollApp on Kira.
Who knows?
The future is decentralized, and it's being built right now. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring.